Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to this week's video. In this video, I want to talk about body odor. This is a topic that's probably a little sensitive, but I think it's very important for a conversation to be had around body odor. And I understand that this is something that many of us are not taught, but I think this is a great segue to talk about this. I think as women, we have so many roles that we play as women, and so much is expected of us, and we have so much that we have to take care of as a woman: our hair, our skin, our makeup, undergarments, and the way our clothes fit, and we're judged so much harder than men. And so much more is expected, but we're expected to smell good, but a man doesn't have to do the same thing. We're expected to have our hair done, but a man can walk around and his hair is not cut. We're supposed to have soft skin, but it's okay for a man to be manly and he doesn't have soft skin. So I think we have all this unnecessary pressure that is put on us by the world, but we also do this to ourselves as women. I think I shared in this previous video that many times women validate themselves or feel like value is given to them by how many male partners they have, or how many men that they're dating, how big their buttocks is, how big their breast is, how naked they can be, and how vulgar they can speak when they're communicating with someone. And that is not at all what it means to be feminine. Femininity is a state of mind and a state of being. And I also said you are feminine for the mere fact that you were born female, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And I shared that there is enhanced femininity. So it's just like anything else. You can have a plain baked potato, or you can have the sour cream, you can add salt, you can add green onions, you can add chives, you can add bacon, or you can just start with the plain potato. So that's how enhanced femininity works. But I think a very important topic to discuss is body odor. Cleaning your body. And let's face it, even though you may tell people, I want you to tell me if I smell or if my breath stinks, it is very offensive for someone to come up to you and tell you that your breath stinks, or they back away from you when you're speaking, or someone will have to come up to you and tell you that you smell. That is not a pleasant statement from anybody, whether it's your spouse, your mom, your dad, or whatever the case may be. It's not something that's pleasant. So what I want to do is up a platform of communication about this topic, but I also want to read and give a foundation of scripture, book of Titus 2, 3-5, and it says, "Teach the older women to be quiet and respectful in everything they do. They must not go around speaking evil of others and must not be heavy drinkers, but they should be teachers of goodness. These older women must train the younger women to live quietly, to love their husbands and their children, and to be sensible and clean-minded, spending their time in their own homes, being kind and obedient to their husbands, so that the Christian faith can't be spoken against by those who know them." So an older woman does not necessarily mean to be a woman that has to be in her 60s or 70s. That means an older woman, meaning that you're older than the woman that you're speaking to or you're sharing information with. So I just think because God gave me this, I'm going to share this, and I hope that it impacts you all in a way that gives you the ability either to talk to someone about this, or either you change some things about yourself. So in this previous video about navigating womanhood without a feminine role model, I think I shared that I heard on Dr. Phil many years ago, and he said that the most powerful role model is in a child's life is the same-sex parent. And if you have seen anything just remotely on the news or social media, we can see that the foundation as it was built for women, it is just completely has imploded. You have mothers murdering their children. You have mothers raping their children. And you have women being killed at enormous rates. And so I truly believe it is my belief and it is my burden to pray about this too as well, that women are under attack. And if we just don't pull it together, we're gonna lose generations of women. So I wanna talk about body odor from the standpoint of not to be embarrassing and not to, this video is for who it's for. If it's not for you, then okay, great. If you know what you know, and but if it's for you, then I hope that this helps you. This topic came about last week. I was inside the gym and I was on the treadmill, and I had been there maybe 20 minutes or so. A young lady came in. She got on the treadmill to my right, and probably within another 10 or 15 minutes, I began to smell something. And the first thing you do is you check yourself. You give yourself the old sniff test to make sure it's not you. And then as time went on, the smell became more pungent, and I became nauseated. And as early in the morning as it was, I found myself becoming very offended, right? And so what I did, I just got off the treadmill and I just started doing something else. I just stopped the intervals that I was doing on the treadmill, and I just started doing something else. But it brought to mind to me, if this young lady, I'm pretty sure she was younger than I am, and this lady wasn't aware that she was smelling and she didn't smell herself, how many people walk around like this? And you may say to yourself, this is nonsense, Sabrina, this doesn't make any sense, but this is true. I've worked with, I would probably say, hundreds of women over the years, and I can't tell you how many times I've had to sit down and talk to women about this, how I've had to coach and encourage women who has a husband, who's had multiple children, that are wearing underwear, and their undergarments maybe, one lady, she was in her 40s, and she said she was wearing her undergarments that she had since she was in high school. And let me tell you, she didn't have her high school body. And what made me pay attention to her was because every time she would get up, she was always digging her underwear out of the crease of her behind. And it just became so annoying to me. And when I went to the store with her to see the condition that her underwear was in and her undergarments, as we was picking out new clothes, it was embarrassing to me. And it wasn't because she didn't have the financial means. Her family was very well off, and she had a mother, even though she was in her mid-40s at that time, 2 children and a husband, a highly educated husband. She just had no idea. Her mother was living, and she had an aunt that was very close to her, and it seems like that there was just such a disconnect. And my heart broke for her, but she's not the only person. She's not the only person that this happens to. I just think we just are not guided. We are taught that our highest form of ourself is our sex organs, and that is the lowest form of yourself. And the best care that you can give yourself is self-care. And self-care can look different in many different ways. I think one can be through proper nutrition. The other can be through proper hygiene. And we're focused so much on all these insignificant things like the Hermes bag or the Balenciaga, and being seen with this person or whatever the case may be. It's all about the money, and that's okay. I'm not saying that those things are not okay, but I'm just saying your personal hygiene should be a concern. Then on top of that, we are now having men telling women how to be women, and unfortunately the women are listening to the men tell you how you need to perform and behave as a woman. And so I've always heard this adage, a woman cannot teach a boy how to be a man. Well, how can a man teach a girl how to be a woman? But the problem is that we just don't have role models. We don't have women that you can look to and say, hey, this is a very mature woman. She loves God and she honors herself as a woman. And it has absolutely nothing to do with a man. I am not a feminist by any means. I believe in the order that God has set up for headship in a household. However, as a woman, there's a responsibility that I have to myself separate from a man. And many of you are giving your life up for a man that's not even you don't need to give your life up for your husband, but you're giving your life up in your identity to a man that's not even committed to you as a husband. So I just don't understand. And it's just getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. We're getting deeper into the dumps. So I want to talk about body odor and what can we do to change things. One of the things I want to talk about, I did some research about sweat glands and kind of where body odor comes from. And I think it's good to have a foundation to understand this. I'm going to put up on the screen, and also I'm going to cite in the description below some of the citations that I read and some of the information that I pulled. But essentially, the body has two main sweat glands: eccrine, E-C-C-R-I-N-E gland, and the apocrine gland, eccrine and apocrine gland. The eccrine gland, based upon its description, it is all over the body. These are the glands. When you're sweating profusely, water is just kind of running off of you. It's kind of like liquid sweat, even though all sweat is liquid, but it's kind of like liquid sweat, like somebody's pouring water off of you. It's your body's way of trying to cool itself off, okay? These glands can be found primarily on the soles of the feet. Also, eccrine glands can produce odor from foods you eat, such as garlic and asparagus, okay? So these are all over the body. This is somewhat of your body's way of trying to get you back to cooling you off, to get you back to homeostasis. Now, this apocrine gland, this is the one that causes a lot of the problems. This is where the odor comes from. This gland is notorious for foul odors and can be found in the axillary, which is armpits, the perineal areas, that is between the vagina and the anus, and between the scrotum and the anus, to include the labia of the woman and the men's scrotum, and I told you about that in the prepuce. Additionally, the nipples, the areola areas, is tissues that have apocrine sweat glands. Now, apocrine sweat is a sweat that is not scented. So if you are sweating, because you may sweat, say for instance, you go to your front door to your car, you may generate some moisture, you may sweat, right? But you don't smell, all right? But that apocrine gland sweat, it should not smell. The reason that it smells is because it's interacting with the bacteria that's on our skin. That's what produces the odor. So when that odor produces, it may be minimal. I don't know if you've all smelled like young boys' football clothing. That stuff sits together and it'll run you out of the gym or the area that it's sitting in. Or say for instance, your clothes that you wash or that you wear to the gym. So like my clothes that I wear to the gym, I treat my underarms, I treat the crotch of my leggings or my shorts, and I don't let my gym clothes sit up. Like say for instance, if you wash on Monday, and then you don't want to wash again Friday, I won't do that. I typically wash, if not every day, every other day, especially the things that I wear to the gym. And the reason I do that is because even though my clothes may not have an odor, me spraying the armpits and the crotch with shout, what I'm trying to do is pull any odor or any bacteria that may be in the fabric and to lift that out. Because if you've taken clothes to the dry cleaners, and if you had something dry clean, you need to understand they're not washing your clothes, they're basically steaming it. And so what happens when you're wearing deodorant, because of the aluminum and the magnesium in the deodorant, it traps a lot of times that odor into your fabric. And if you don't lift that deodorant out of that fabric, that odor stays. So a lot of times when I would get back my clothes from the dry cleaners, there would be an odor from the armpits that my clothes would be clean, but for me smelling on the inside, it was just like a stagnant smell. So what I do now when I take my clothes to the dry cleaners, just like I do at home, I tell them to treat the armpits, especially any jacket, any blouse or anything like that, because your deodorant, especially if you're wearing an antiperspirant, it's gonna seal that odor in that fabric, and you need to lift that odor out of the fabric. So sometimes you may not be smelling, it may be the residual of the deodorant trapping that odor inside of the fabric. I hope that makes sense. This is why it makes no difference. You're wasting your money using fabric softener and you're buying all these products that has the fragrance in them. If you smell, it does not matter what you're putting on the clothes, the odor is still gonna seep through. I hope that makes sense, okay? So when you understand that and how to properly take care of your clothes, now you need to understand how to properly take care of your skin so you don't have that bacteria that turns into that odor from that apocrine sweat gland. I hope this makes sense. So what you want to do is take time to bathe with an antibacterial soap. I personally don't use fragrances. It's just the same thing when I wash my laundry. Now, some of my laundry detergent has fragrance in it, and it's just because that's how the brand makes it. But I don't go buy special items like fabric softener and all these different types of things to put in my clothes. But number one, it wears down the fabric, number one. And two, my main goal is cleaning my clothes. If I have towels and sheets and I need to put all this bounce and stuff in them to make them soft, then I will save the money on the bounce and the fabric softener and just buy better quality sheets so you don't have to go through all of that, because it weakens the fabric and it causes more wear and tear on the fabric to break down over the period of time, so it wears out quicker than you buying something that actually cleans your clothes and you buying a better quality so it'll last longer, and you just buying something that actually cleans the clothes itself. The same thing with your body. There's so many people, I'm not saying anything is wrong with going to Bath and Body Works. It's nothing wrong with buying the scented lotions and all the bath spray and whatever else, you all buy. That's great if you want to do that. But I would, again, say save your money on that. Stop buying 10 or 12 sprays that you got to put on all day long because they don't hold their scent, and just go get you one good body of quality perfume. The money that you're going to spend on all these sprays, you got to put on 3 or 4 of them at a time for them to hold, and then a couple of hours you got to put some more back on again. I just never been a fan of that. And all the lotions I can't wear, me personally. So if you buy a perfume set that comes with the bath gel and the lotions and stuff like that, I can't wear that. My skin is very sensitive to that. So my focus is cleaning my body, right? That's my number one focus. And if I want to add a fragrance, then I buy a high quality, a high-end perfume that I don't have to bathe in for me to get that scent. Understand that at some point, my body temperature and heat is going to push through and carry that scent forward. But I'm not going to wear all this floral and all these different types of things. To me, it's just a waste of money, right? The main focus is using an antibacterial soap to clean your body. Now, in that being said, there are a lot of natural products on the market. And just like with deodorants, the same thing with body soaps, there's not a one size fit all. And even though that they're natural, there's some things that I can put on my body, but there's some things that I can't put on my lady parts. Okay, so you have to just test and try and test and try. If you want to go a more natural route, if you're a person who don't want to use the aluminum in the deodorant, personally for me, antiperspirant is something that I just want. And so it's very difficult for me to go to a natural deodorant because it removes the aluminum and the magnesium out of it. So that way it does not block the sweat gland. So you're going to probably be wet and things of that nature, which is very uncomfortable to me. I've tried a few different ones. I haven't found anything that I can settle down on, but understand this is not a one size fit all when you go natural. It's going to be more expensive, but if you want to do that, there's a lot of information online for you to find different ones that you can try. It just really is going to depend on your body chemistry, on what works for you. So the main thing that you want to do is really focus on cleaning your body, right? Really trying to get the bacteria off of the skin, and then now replenishing that skin with moisture and hydrating that skin. and not focus so much on fragrances to try to cover up the stench. You want to start foundationally and clean your body. And one thing I want to say about this, I know in some cases, and this is just a real honest conversation. This is a real honest conversation. There are a lot of people right now, whether we believe it or not, this is 2024, this is very real. There are some young girls and even women that are very uncomfortable getting undressed, taking baths and showers at their homes because they live with perverts. The father is a pervert, the brother is a pervert, the uncle is a pervert, and when they go to the bathroom, they're scared to take their clothes off. They're scared to take time and wash and clean themselves. A lot of young girls have to go to bed fully clothed. They're wearing the underwear, they're wearing the bras, and they're not allowed to, they're not comfortable enough to let their body breathe and to really take time to clean themselves. And so we have to be compassionate, because every one of us may have experienced different things throughout our lives, and whether we think it makes sense or whether it does or doesn't make sense to us, somebody is going through something that's very uncomfortable. And you got to think about it. If you're a young girl and you're afraid that you're going to be sexually assaulted, or somebody has made some comments that has made you feel uncomfortable, and you're afraid to go to the bathroom and take your clothes off to wash your body, and you much rather smell than being able to clean yourself because you don't know what's going to happen, that has to be miserable. But the reality is there is so many women going through that right now. They don't know if somebody's going to kick the door in when they get naked and put them in a very bad position. You know, the world has changed a lot, and I'm gonna be honest, I was very quick to at one point just to make comments because I just didn't understand why people would do the things that they do. But I don't own a television, haven't owned a television for years, but just by having a computer, I have seen so many things that's just disgusting. And so when you have a young girl or boy who's at home and don't even feel comfortable around their parents, that's a scary place to be. And so I'm hoping conversations like this will help someone to make better decisions about their body. I hope that conversations like this and open up conversations like this will help someone be able to say that I need help. And I pray when that person shares that they need help or they're in trouble, that the person that God leads them to will pay them some attention and not just blow them off. There are people who are suffering right under our noses. There are people who are being sexually abused right under our noses because we just don't slow down and pay attention. And I would encourage you, if you are an older woman, not meaning that you have to be 60, 70, or 80 years of age, I want you to this week to take time and just pay attention to another woman without judgment, without putting her down. Even the women that we see who are so sexually promiscuous, those people who they exploit themselves. Take a moment and pray for that person versus taking the energy to talk about them, because even though it doesn't make sense to us, I will never understand some of the things that's going on, and maybe it's not for me to understand, but your prayers can reach a person far greater and far more than your ridicule of someone. I'm learning the same thing, okay? But if you have an opportunity to donate to a women's shelter or to a children's home, do it. Go through your closet and see the things, look at the things that you're not wearing. When you're in the store, pick up an extra bottle of something that you can donate to somebody. You know, that one bottle of deodorant, that foundation or that face wash or that lipstick can really make a difference in another woman's life. So I just think we just need to slow down and think about other people and not so much ourselves. This is a problem. It's not a problem for people getting pregnant and people having sex, but it's such a problem for people to take care of the things that are so important, which is this really helps with your self-esteem. If, as a woman, if your body is not maintain and you don't feel comfortable in your skin, it's going to affect your self-esteem. And we have enough young girls and women out here with low self-esteem. We don't need any more. You know, oftentimes I think about all the women that may be living on the streets and the women that are prostituted. And I cannot imagine not being able to take a bath. My water was off because of some repairs for a couple of days. And I was heating up water on the stove and it nearly drove me crazy. So, you know, when you're doing that, you can't really bathe completely. And that was a minor inconvenience for me. But you just think about these women who, of no fault of their own, they're on the street and they cannot take care of themselves. They can't wash, they can't clean themselves. And you got to think about when their menstruation comes on, how and what predicament that puts them in. And so if you can do anything about giving and donating to shelters and things of that nature, do it. If you can pick up, like I said, one extra bottle of something, do it and give it away. And don't get disgruntled when people don't show their appreciation. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it because you love Jesus. And I just hope that this is encouraging to someone who is like myself, who is not I'm very blessed and I'm in a good space. I hope this encourages you who may be a person like I am. Share this with somebody else. And I hope that this encourages each and every woman to be willing. If you don't know what to say, that's okay. But be willing to pray for somebody that you see that's in need. Because I just don't believe that anybody willingly wants to walk around smelling bad or not looking their best. There's something that happens that throws people off course. And maybe you don't understand it and maybe you've never been through it. But having compassion for other people is a great thing. And so if you find yourself in the presence of someone who does not have poor personal hygiene, whether it's their breath stink, hopefully they will listen. God will give you the tenderness that you can tell them, because that, like I said, that's a very, it's very offensive for the person that's smelling it, but it's very embarrassing for the person who is receiving the message. And I just pray that God gives you that oomph or that thing that really helps you share your concern in the right way. But also too, I hope that you take a moment and slow down and take better care of yourself, right? Just do it. Okay, as women, I think we just need to just take better care of ourselves. And this is something that's simple. You know, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be something that's over the top, but it just needs to be something that's consistent. Take time, wash your feet, go between your toes. You know, learn, women, you wash from front to back, not back to front. That's either when you're bathing and even when you're going to the bathroom, you wipe and wash from front to back. And even if you're going to the gynecologist, sit down and have an open conversation with your gynecologist about your personal hygiene if you don't know, if you don't have anybody else to talk to. And I pray if you're in a situation where this is you that I'm talking about, that you're in need and you need help, I hope that you have the courage to speak up. And I pray that God places somebody in your path that will be sensitive enough to your needs and won't judge you and help you. That God places somebody that will help you in this place and in this season that you're in. I pray that this video blesses you. It's gonna stop here because there's a lot that I can say about this, but I'm gonna stop here. I just want every woman to know that you're important and that taking time with yourself is not selfish, it's selfless. And I pray that each and every woman begin to love on themselves beyond their beauty, beyond what they feel like they can give to a man or to a child, but what you can give to yourself, because you are important to God. And your presence is important to the world, and we need everybody's presence. We need everybody operating in a good space and a good place. I hope that this empowers you to be better. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.